Hey everyone, Dan here. Hey, I got a tip for you today on how to develop a critical eye. And I think that this is a really important thing in painting, right? Something to really develop your eye. And it's kind of a difficult thing to pin down. And the reason for that is because there's really no such thing as good art or bad art, just art you like, right? So in order to develop a critical eye, you kind of have to make a judgment somewhere and say, hey, this is good art and this is not good art. And it's only for you, and it's not a universal truth, but as an artist, we have to do that. We have to pick out um, if you don't want to say the word good art or bad art, say this is art I like and this is art I don't like. What's in the elements of the art I do like? And I get this question all the time, and that's why I wanted to make a video about it. And I kind of make reference to a lot of these things I'm about to tell you in other videos, but they're really that important that I feel like we really need to revisit it. First, of course, is just look at a lot of art. In fact, it should be more specific, is look at a lot of art that you like. And at first, when you're first developing your techniques, you need to look at a lot of art just to figure it out what it is you like anyway, right? And so much of what we like is due to our upbringing because we grew up watching television or whatever, and people said, here, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. So we start to adopt those conventions, right? And it's the same way in art. You go to a museum and they have art on the walls, and then you assume it's good because it's in a museum. And fortunately, museums now are kind of helping us to break that because they are kind of showing so many weird, crazy things and calling it great art and discounting other art that is obviously equally great. So it's kind of good because the museums, in their effort to be up, what I want to say, I don't know if upscale is the word, but or uppity is the word, but to be like I don't know what's the word, like elitists. I don't know what it is, or maybe show everyone how smart they are. But anyway, in that process of doing that, they are going so against normal convention that people begin to question it, and hear more and more outrage at paintings that are or artwork that's way out there. I mean, even much more so than like abstract expressionism. And I think that's a good thing because people are starting to kind of wake up to this, I think, a little bit more and more. And that museum curators don't really know any more than the next guy about art. They just went to school longer for it. Doesn't mean they really know anything because art by its nature is undefinable. Anyway, I get off my soapbox. That's not what this is supposed to be about. So anyway, what you want to do, I think, is cut out pictures from magazines that you like and create a binder. I've talked about this before. But when you are painting something, so let's say you're going to paint an eye or a face or something like that. What you want to do is you want to take that magazine clipping or a picture you've saved off the internet onto your computer, or just, you don't even need to save pictures hardly anymore because they're so readily available. You just go to the website that would have those pictures and you study an artist that you really admire the way they did it. Now here is the kicker. Look at the reference more than your own setup. And a lot of people have said the opposite of this in a lot of years, a lot of times. So I'm kind of going against convention here, but I think it's really important. Look at your reference more than you do your own photo. Let's assume you're working from photos, but it doesn't matter. Setup, model, photos, out landscape painting. You look at that reference more than what you look at yours, and then try to figure out what he did or she did, this great artist that you like, to translate what they saw to what they ended up with, right? And really, in a sense, while you're out there, I'm assuming you're not landscape painting, just that was the last example I used. You're almost copying the artist more than you are the scene in front of you or the still life in front of you or the model or the portrait. And that's what really makes you learn what they did and kind of their secrets, if you will, right? And it's amazing. And this is, if I had to put my finger on one thing that I feel like I did more than anybody else around me. It's this. I always had a binder open, and I always had a picture on my computer or something that I was using as reference in addition to my other reference. And I really think, and I still do not think that just because I've somewhat gotten better as an artist that I have eliminated this. I don't at all. I still do it. And I'll use pictures from, like, if one of my students painted something really amazing, I'll use that. Because I'll look at this, look how brilliantly this was painted, and I'll look at that and I'll see how they did it, and before I know it, I know how to do that too. Or I'll look at a loose painting and I'll do what I see in that I like and reject the rest, and that's how you really ultimately develop your own style. Is you look at all the things that you like, you assimilate or bring in all the things that you think are good and reject all the rest. The next thing you know, you have your own style. Now, I have to tell you, though, I have seen artists over the years. I've watched their development, and I'm talking big name artists that I don't really want to say their names, and I can tell by looking at their paintings that they've done this exact same thing too, because their paintings will maybe start looking at when they maybe first getting famous, or I first learned about them, they're starting to look very similar to another artist, right? And then, of course, you research, you talk to them, you find out that they were influenced with them. And then they get better, they get recognized, they sell paintings, almost kind of like I don't want to say a copier, but you know what I'm saying? They definitely are super influenced by that style. And then you watch them merge kind of into their own style, which actually, from a marketing perspective, is a pretty good way to go, because then your paintings kind of look like a super famous painting, and then you get painter, then you get you're self-established, and you get collectors, and then you slowly morph into whatever you ultimately end up with, and then your paintings are still beautiful and different, and you have all these collectors. Anyway, that wasn't really the point of the whole thing. The point is how to develop a critical eye. But really, what they're really asking when people ask that question is, how do I paint better paintings? And that's how. All right. That's it. Have a fantastic day.